I don't like most of Picasso's work, especially the cubist face. It looks like a child painted it. And he agreed with me because he said, it took me 4 years to paint like Raphael, but a lifetime to paint like a child. What I do like is that he did what he wanted. He didn't care about the rules and he had fun with it. Painting realistically takes a lot of skill, time, and it can be boring. I like surreal painting like Dali. His painting do show effort and mastery, but they're still interesting and not boring. Because students today are treated as paying customers, and many private art schools, they prioritize originality and personal style, and they neglect technical skill building and really learning the craft. Picasso did learn the skill, he just didn't feel like using it. It seems to me that people excuse or justify Picasso's cubist work because they knew he could paint, so his childlike face is treated as a conscious choice, not a lack of skill. I wish that was true for singing, that people admired my voice and thought I sang off-key on purpose as a breakthrough new style. That would be great. Picasso's personality was disordered. He was a narcissist or an asshole. He was putting out cigarettes on his young wife's face. He had a lot in common with Hitler in the sense that, well, they both had a similar disordered personality and they both painted. And what we can learn from their example is that if you have a passion, you should find a way to dedicate your life or most of your time, at least, to that thing that you're passionate about. Hitler was rejected from an art school and, look what happened. Damn gatekeepers. If someone wants to be an artist, there should be no gatekeepers. I mean, people can improve their work if they're passionate about it and if they're not yet good enough. Hitler would have probably been accepted as a paying customer at a private art school today, but he applied to the State Academy of Fine Arts in Vienna. And even though his personality was the kind of personality that is drawn to power, I think if he was encouraged to paint, he would have just painted a lot like Picasso did, and he would just abuse people closest to him and do much less damage. Salvador Dali, he wasn't a fan of Picasso either. He accused him of corrupting modern art, and he said that his later work was ugly and destructive. Francis Bacon, an Irish painter, he said about Picasso that he was always extremely cruel to people and that he's destroyed people. Bacon also said that Picasso used people, especially women, as material. But Bacon seems to have been an admirer of Picasso as an artist, but definitely not of his character. He also said that Picasso was the most extraordinary visual intelligence, but that he was vicious. Jean Cocteau was a poet and a filmmaker. He said that Picasso left a trail of human wreckage. And all that sounds like a textbook narcissist behavior. And finally, Françoise Gillot, the only woman who left Picasso, the one on whose face he was putting out cigarettes, probably not every day, I hope. He told her that nobody leaves Picasso when she decided to leave him. Well, she did, and she said that he needed to dominate, and to dominate meant to crush. That's what she said in the book, Life with Picasso, that she wrote in the 60s. And Picasso tried to prevent this book from being published, but he didn't manage to. He lost a lawsuit that he filed against her. And he tried to pressure galleries not to show her work. Also, he refused to see their children for years, and he said that she would be crawling back, but she didn't. She said in that book that for Picasso there were only two kinds of women, goddesses and doormats. And from what I know about narcissists, the same woman is first a goddess during the love bombing phase, in the first part of the relationship, and then in the devaluation phase becomes a doormat. Simone de Beauvoir, she said that Picasso's tyranny was justified in the name of genius, which I don't agree with at all. I think nothing justifies cruelty. And I don't even think that he was a genius. He had talent like many other people. He just really took time to practice his craft and produce a lot. He didn't do anything else in his life for work. He only produced art. And this typical narcissist entitlement helped him to do that. Okay, this video is called What We Can Learn from Picasso. So on the positive note, there are things about Picasso's life that fascinate me. I read somewhere that his life consisted of play, like playing with his paintings, with one of his wives. I mean, he had one wife at the time, drinking wine and absinthe, socializing. That was his life. I decided to try to make my life more like that. So Picasso structured his life around painting. That was his priority, and then came good Mediterranean food, wine, sex, conversation. That was all part of his work day. And he painted obsessively every day. He supposedly said that when inspiration comes, it finds him working. But it wasn't really work, I think. It was an obsession and the need that he was satisfying. I mean, I know because I also have that need. Like any scanner, I keep discovering new passions and I need novelty. Picasso organized his life to protect his creative energy. And that is something I really like. That's something I decided to do, to organize my life around creativity. So what can we learn from Picasso or from narcissists in general? It's to be entitled, to be more entitled, to believe we deserve and should and can have exactly the life we want, that we don't have to tolerate less than what we really want. And I'm not talking here about that's completely unjustified, undeserved, exaggerated entitlement that narcissists have. Like they demand excessive attention, special treatment. They think that the law doesn't apply to them. They're exploiting the kindness of people and destroying others to get what they want. No, I'm talking about healthy entitlement. Especially people like me don't have it often because we grew up with narcissistic abuse that broke down our self-esteem. And in such environment, your needs and feelings have been devalued and ignored. Narcissists need to belittle others to feel superior. So you might feel that you are allowed to exist only if you're useful and pleasing, and that your needs don't matter. You learn to self-abandon, to put other people's needs first. And healthy entitlement is believing that your needs do matter, that you are allowed to take up space, to say no, to paint on big canvases, to protect your energy and your time and your boundaries. You're allowed to buy yourself quality things without guilt. You're allowed to disappoint people. You don't need to justify or explain or suffer to be worthy. And you're allowed to do what you love doing, and not the work that makes you suffer. When you get to do what you're obsessed with, what you enjoy, you don't really need work-life balance. You want to work a lot. Work. I'm not in favor of productivity if you're not intrinsically motivated to do it and enjoying it. Because life is temporary and it's important to enjoy it and to do whatever makes you feel alive. An important part of Picasso's success was the fact that he was producing shitloads of art, approximately a bit less than 150,000 works, and out of which 13,000 approximately were paintings, and the rest were drawings, sculptures, ceramics, illustrated books. That wouldn't all fit into a van. So a big majority of Picasso's paintings are not famous. You have to produce a lot of art in order to produce a lot of good art. So I decided to paint more and buy a rural house to store my art and my shoes and dresses, furniture. I want to make so many things. 2026 will be a year of creativity. I already made some pieces of furniture with my dad when he was alive, and yeah, he had all the possible carpenter tools. It was so much fun. So yeah, having the freedom to just paint all the time is already a huge success, even if you're poor, just making ends meet. But Picasso was also materially rich. He sold a lot of work, especially after 30. By his 30s, he was financially free, and by his midlife, he was already rich. He was one of the richest artists in history while still alive. But he kept painting obsessively. And he didn't live like rich celebrities. He didn't collect like yachts and cars. He hoarded art, and he refused to sell the artwork that he liked. He let galleries sell only less important works. He did have cooks and villas, but money brought him first the time to create, also women, control over his environment and relationships, creative sovereignty, yeah, and the possession of his own work. He had successful dealers who were good at promoting and selling and placing his work with collectors and museums. I think that Picasso's life was the ultimate artist's dream, and you don't have to be an asshole like he was to live like that.